Hey guys, this is Mark Shaws in the Pattern Trader. I just want to give a huge shout out to Prashant, who recently sent me this email. Prashant said, Mark, thank you for the encouragement and all the education. As of February 15th, I'm happy to say I crossed 100% gain year to date on my account. Now, I guess it's only February, so Prashant, good on you, 100% gain, including making a ton on shorting the stock of GameStop. I wanted to post a picture of my actual brokerage account showing the games. Maybe I'll send it to you via email, and I promise I'm not gambling. So Prashant, thanks a ton, and obviously our trading methods are helping you out greatly. Now, I just recently wrapped up a 4-day live webinar series where each day I went into the market live. And I really focused on a couple things during that week when I was doing the webinars. And one was really looking at the setup in the NASDAQ. Now, this is the stock index in the United States that is most closely approximates all of the tech sector. And it's been on a tear since last March, going up in a parabolic, never-ending fashion. But starting last week, I started to notice and point out to those on the webinars that it looked like that the NASDAQ was tracing out an ascending, broadening price pattern. Now, this is typically a bearish price pattern, but to collectively with the weekly reversal that I saw last Friday, I started loading up on put options on the QQQ. Now, the QQQ is an ETF that is a proxy for the NASDAQ, and buying put options, I was making a bet that the NASDAQ was going to fall. And sure enough, first thing this week, today, the NASDAQ fell 300 points, 2.5%, and I'm up about $150,000 on my put options. And I'm looking for a lot more follow through to come. So that was one of the things that I focused on. The other thing that I focused on was Beyond Meat. Now, that's not just a vegetarian dish. It actually is the name of a company. Beyond Meat, the ticker symbol is BYND, is a stock that I've been advocating taking the short side of. Now, when you get short a stock, you're betting that the stock declines. Now, in full disclosure, I personally shorted Beyond Meat, BYND, right at the time of this Reddit GameStop phenomenon, where all these traders on Reddit were hunting companies that had massive short positions, looking to expose them, and created this huge short covering rally. Now, quite frankly, I was a victim of that. I shorted the stock around the 145 area, and it started creeping up to 160. I got, really obstinate and stuck to my guns and said, I'm just going to stay with this because, based on the price patterns, which I'm going to show you in the market on the real-time charts in just a moment, I really think that this thing is going down long term. But I got caught up, in that whole phenomenon of the short covering where it sent GameStop from $9 to $450. And the reason I'm standing up is that exactly a month ago I went into surgery to operate on my hamstrings. And the reason I know that is because on that day I was short BYND, and because I didn't want to create any stress to myself, I was going into surgery. I swore that I wasn't going to go and look in the markets, and I went to surgery. I came out. A friend of mine called me to see how I was doing, and during the course of our conversation, he said that BYND, went to $218 that day. Remember, I shorted it at about 140. It closed at 160, and so it went up about $50 in one day. But then he told me it closed at 193, and when I checked it, it had a key reversal. Now, I'll be the first to admit I violated all the money management rules because I really see the long-term potential of this on the downside. I did not have a stop loss. Fortunately, my account was big enough to accommodate this huge loss against me. But since that time, BYND has dropped under $160. And now I'm almost even with my stock position. And as I'll share with you, Last week, I scooped out a 3-day period where I invested $12,000 in a put option on BYND and took $50,000 out of that trade. So I made 494% on that trade in BYND. And now I'm going to go to the real-time charts, show you what I'm looking at BYND and why I was short in the first place, why I'm still sticking to my guns, I'm still short, and why I was able to make money on the put options. Now, BYND is going to announce earnings in 3 days, and typically earnings are very speculative, but to my mind, they're just catalysts to send markets to where they're going to go. So if a stock looks like it's got a bullish price pattern, the earnings should be net bullish for the company, and the converse is true. So I'm well expecting that the earnings are at BYND are going to be a catalyst to send this stock lower, and I'm going to stick to my guns and stay short the stock. This is the real-time chart of the company Beyond Meat. The ticker symbol is BYND. And I'm going to start laying out the rationale of why I got short this stock, why I got caught being short, but why I decided to stick with my guns nonetheless. So before I got short, I was looking at the various price patterns. To my mind, price patterns and price action dictate the future trajectory of whatever instrument you're looking at. And in this time horizon here, I was looking at a head and shoulders bearish price pattern. It looks just like a man or woman's left shoulder. The peak is the head. This is the right shoulder. And when it crosses the neckline, it basically confirms that this is a bearish price pattern. And basically, we saw the behavior thereafter where prices did crater and everything that this pattern was indicating was fulfilled. Then we basically had a double bottom price pattern, which by virtue of the nature of the bottom, sent prices higher. But on top of the double bottom, we also have another head and shoulders price pattern. And this is basically where I got obstinate. I shorted it right into this rally here, believing that we were looking at a head and shoulders price pattern. And you can see that prices just rocketed higher thereafter. And this was the day I was going into surgery, where it went to $218, and perhaps was fortunate that I wasn't watching the markets. I might have panicked or hit the throttle or whatnot and gotten out of it. But basically, and this is a nuanced discussion that you won't find in any textbook, but it's my belief that when an instrument of any nature hits a certain level so many times, as BYND has hit this 113, 115 area where, let me just count them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. So we have hit this ledge around 114, 115, 14 times. Now, it's just, again, an intuitive thing that I believe if something is so good, the market is not going to give you 14 times to buy it. Now, I was wrong, obviously, in the short term, where it did go much higher. But this was due to, a financial machination where at the time there was just a flurry of activity of, traders searching for companies with big short interests and pushing those, short interests as high as they can. Because when you're short, in order to get out of your short, you have to buy. So it creates this, huge flurry. But to my mind, it was just, what I indicated, just a financial machination, and that by virtue of all the patterns that I'm looking at here, these bearish head and shoulders in this time frame, the bearish head and shoulders in this time frame, and this ledge, the shelf around 114, 115, I'm surmising that that shelf has got to get taken out, and that I do believe that we will see this company back at these lows around 50 bucks. So I stuck to my guns. I stayed short. You can see that in this particular week we have what I call a key reversal, where earlier in the week we went higher, and by the end of the week we're much lower. So I shorted this thing around 145, went to 218, and now it's hovering about 160. So I'm losing a little bit money on my short stock position, but I did do an aggressive play in the options market, which I'll show you in a moment. And more than made up lost ground.
Now I'm looking at the daily chart of BYND where each one of these price bars represents one 24-hour session. And you can see in this time horizon, this is why I was looking at this stock so bearishly. We had this double top right in this time frame, and then right here we had a head and shoulders. Looks just like a man or woman's head and shoulders. But I jumped the gun because we never really confirmed this. Basically, when you see these reversal or bear price patterns, it requires the neckline to be taken out. And the neckline is simply a line that's drawn through the pattern. And you can see we came and just touched exactly on this neckline, never breached it, and then went on this huge short covering rally. And this is where, I got my you-know-what caught in a ringer. But after I got out of surgery, I noticed this key reversal where it went to $218. By the end of the day, closed at 193, and I knew with that huge key reversal that this thing was done and that we were going to go lower. Sometimes these key reversals, they actually point in the direction that the market wants to go. Now, in addition to this key reversal, this market also put on a double top in this time frame. Now, it's an asymmetric double top where the two peaks are not at the same level. You can see obviously one is much lower than the other, but when we look back, I do believe that you're going to see this M top, and when the stock's down here, you'll say this was a double top and a governing price pattern. So now I can start, drawing these patterns in my sleep, and I was already anticipating that we would, create this double top price pattern. So you can see it this one particular day, the market closed right here, and then in the day following, the market gapped up and opened $6 higher. Now, at one time, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player to ever play the game, was asked, Wayne, you're not the strongest guy out there, you're not the fittest guy out there, you're not the speediest guy out there, but how come you're able to do what you're able to do? And Wayne, answered in the most profound way that I think is a real metaphor for us traders. He says, I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going to be. And so when you're trading options, you have to kind of be able to be ahead of the game because options are so speculative and the time expiry is such that you have to be right away. So when the market gapped up, I was surmising because of all of these bearish price patterns that we were going to go lower. So when it was trading at about 178, I bought the 175 put options. Now a put option is a option where you're betting on the decline of whatever instrument you're betting on. And I paid $2.50 for the right to buy this. Now this was expiring at the end of the week, 4 days after I bought it. If this closed above 172.5, I would have lost most or all of my money. But as you can see, the stock plummeted, and my $2.50, I made 494% on that as I got out around the $12.50 area. So this is how you can use these leverage instruments if you can understand and visualize where a market's going and anticipate it. And so I'm more than made up for the losses, and now I'm short the stock, and I'm looking forward to much more gains as I think that we will implode in BYND in the days, weeks, and months going forward. Just to demonstrate that I eat my own cooking, meaning that whatever I'm telling our members, believe me, I am doing these trades personally. So this is an extract from my account where you can see these were the February 19th 175 puts on Beyond Meat. The price was about 178 in the market when I put these on at around $2.50 per call, and I ended up getting out at $12.35 or about a 494% gain in just 3 days, and I ended up taking out just shy of $50,000 on my $12,500 bet. So more than made up for the shortfall in the stock, and like I said, I see that BYND's got a lot lower to go, and I anticipate shorting it all the way down.
So I hope you got a ton of value out of this little video. If you would like to know and understand how I capitalize on monster moves in the market using only price patterns and price action, then I suggest you check out our website. We've got a free 21 power strategies that you can download. Like I said, it's completely free. So go to thepatterntrader.com. We'll attach a link with this video. And with that said, I wish you guys a healthy and prosperous trading week, and I'll see you next time.